Greetings. I'm Dr. Francis Joseph Carlton III. I'm the instructor for the course this summer, PSC 101, basically Introduction to America and Nevada Politics. I think the official title might be slightly different than that, but that's the essence of what we're doing here. So on the syllabus, that's what I want to talk about here in this clip. I want to talk about the syllabus. Right? There's also going to be a clip where I introduce the course and how to navigate it most effectively, but this is focused exclusively on the syllabus. So I do have an office, physical. I'm in it now. I'm on the Charleston campus in the C building, and I'm in room 269, second floor, office F for Francis. All right, so if you want to arrange a time to meet me here for whatever reason during the summer, my hair's not quite right. I told one of the admins to get makeup and hair in here pronto, but she thought I wasn't being serious, which I really wasn't. But yeah, we could set up an appointment for sure. I am holding virtual office hours as per the syllabus on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays between 9 and 11 in the morning. So we could use, I think, the most effective way I found is Big Blue Button. It's on your navigation menu in Canvas. So I can set up Big Blue Button meetings, all right, on those 3 days between the hours of 9 and 11. Just let me know ahead of time. Maybe drop me a quick email. I'll give you my email address there. You can also email me, I believe, through the course shell on Canvas. And I gave you my cell phone number because honestly, my office phone, that's like kind of old school. I don't find it very useful. So there's my cell phone. In fact, if you want to do a morning virtual meeting on Big Blue Button, just text me on my phone ahead of time so we can make sure that gets set up correctly. I mean, what are we doing in here? We're talking about American and Nevada politics, which is more than just government, by the way. More than just government. It's also about our culture. It's about our free markets. It's about corporations, interest groups, all sorts of things that are not exactly the government. Politics is bigger than the government. Right? You know, you'll see some course objectives there. That's somewhat boilerplate. The next critical thing is our assigned text. I use one. I am going to make the course starting this term right here. I'm going to make the course adhere closely to the book. So obviously it'll be in your best interest to have the book in either electronic or paper formatting. But I'm using American Government in black and white, 5th edition, 2021. That's preferred, and I think this might show up in reverse image, I'm not sure. But that's the one we're using. All right. It is, I think the publication date is 2021. I think they're just coming out with a new edition, but it sounded like when it would be available was a little uncertain, so I didn't want to take that risk. So we're going with this one for now. It's fine. Anything more recent, we can, update that as we go along. Oddly enough, I'm pretty knowledgeable about that kind of stuff because I'm a professional political scientist. But because it's an older edition, and if you want to get the paper version, you should be able to get it pretty inexpensively. I'm not going to endorse any particular vendor, but I think that on eBay you can sometimes find older editions at a remarkably low price. So just a heads up on that as a possibility. I'm also going to be assigning readings from a book called The Sagebrush State by Dr. Michael Bowers over at UNLV. It's considered the preeminent textbook on Nevada politics. He updated it recently, 2021. Now, you don't have to worry about that per se. I mean, you have to worry about reading it, but per se, you don't really have to worry about that because I've downloaded all of the chapters that you'll need from the library here at CSN, and I've downloaded them in the form of PDF files that you should be able to access quite easily on the Canvas shell in the appropriate modules. So I know we have a module on like the founding of the United States. And then we have a module on the founding of the great state of Nevada. All right, so in that module on the founding of the great state of Nevada, I will put 2 chapters in that module, PDF files from the Bowers book. So I am assigning many chapters from the Bowers book, but you don't have to worry about buying the book at all. Right? Those will be for you as PDF files through the good graces of our library here at CSN. All right. And then I'm also going to expect you, and this is a preview of the next clip that I'll be making, which is about how to navigate the course on Canvas. Within each module, I'm going to have narrated slides in both PowerPoint, original version, and then the YouTube video version. They're just 2 versions of the same exact thing. So I do expect you to go through those slides, either in the form of the video or in the form of the PowerPoint slides themselves. The advantage of the slides themselves on PowerPoint is you get clickability functions that you don't get on the video, because I do sometimes have clickable links in there that I hope are pretty interesting. But I understand the convenience of the YouTube video is overwhelmingly going to make it the choice for most students. And then I'll have a video like this at the beginning of each module. So I do expect you to cover, and I'm paring this way back from what I used to do, people. I'm going minimalist here. For me, I'm going super minimalist to make it more user-friendly, the course. So in each module, you're basically going to find a brief video in which I introduce what we're covering, a chapter in our book. There'll be a set, in this case, I think I have 3 sets of slides on chapter 1, both PowerPoint and video versions. And that'll be it. All right, that'll be it, typically. There might, depending on the module, there might be some additional things, like maybe a video from our library, or maybe a chapter from the Bowers book, right? But for this, super minimalist, module 1, super minimalist. Okay, exams and quizzes in terms of how you get your grade in this class. There will be 4 multiple choice exams, 4, at roughly equal intervals of about 2 weeks, because it's an 8-week session. Those exams will be only multiple choice questions. I will give out study guides ahead of time, and they will be on the material that we're covering in that part of the course. All right. There'll be about 50 or 60 multiple choice questions. I typically give you about 90 minutes to take that exam online in about a 2 or 3 day time frame. All right. There'll be 4 of those. At the end of the semester, I will drop your lowest one. All right. I will drop your lowest multiple choice exam score. Those exams, although I'll only count the 3 highest, those exams will be 60% of your grade in this class. 60%, right? So the bulk of your grade is right here. That's the heart of it. So keep that in mind. I'm also going to have 5 current events quizzes spaced throughout this summer. I will also drop your lowest current events quiz score. And just on past experience, most students do really well in the current events quizzes because I base each one on 3 current events articles that I post ahead of time on Canvas. My old school recommendation is when I post those, you print them off, old school. You mark them up a little bit as you read through them, and you have them at your side when you take the quiz. Okay, that makes it pretty easy to get all or nearly all of the questions right. All right, so 5 current events quizzes, I count your 4 highest. And that counts for 15% of your grade in this class. 15%. So the exam's 60, the quiz is 15. We're up to 75%. I'm also going to have 8 to 10 discussion threads, so about 1 a week on relevant topics that we're covering. Those are super low key. I'm really just looking for a good faith effort to engage in discussions with your fellow students. I'm not persnickety on grading them at all. I'm just looking for a good faith effort. If you can reference something from our book or the slides, Fabulous. That'd be fabulous. But that would be like if you want to get 100. All right? I'll accept, quite honestly, less than that. I just want to see engagement, good faith engagement. The more it's informed, the better, of course. And for that, you'll need to make your own post about the topic, whatever it is. And then you'll need to respond to somebody else's post, right, to simulate discussion among citizens about politics. So I do want to see 2 postings for each thread, original and responsive. And the grading on that is pretty damn lenient. 10% of your grade there. 10%. We're up to 85. Finally, I am going to employ 3 short writing assignments because I think writing is an important skill set to have, regardless of what you end up, getting your certificate or degree in or whatever here at CSN. Writing is fundamental. All right. So I'm going to assign 3 very short writing projects, 2 to 3 pages each, pretty minimalist, double spaced, not expecting a ton here. And I'll, each writing assignment will be based on some element, some sidebar, because our book has a lot of sidebars in it about particular topics. I'll basically assign a sidebar topic and say, relate this topic to the study of American politics or Nevada politics. All right, so I'll get the specs out for that pretty quickly, but just the heads up, there will be 3 short writing assignments based on material in a text that you need to address and connect to an analysis of our politics. And that's the final 15% of your grade in this class. And that gets us up to 100%. All right? All right? Oh, golly, a lot of the rest of this language is super boilerplate that you're going to find in all your syllabi at CSN, and for that matter, to a high degree, UNLV. And then to finish this up, course outline. This is a way for you to get a flavor for what's coming. All right, this will give you a flavor for what's coming. So we're going to start out talking about what do governments do? And more importantly, for our purposes, right, what do constitutional democracies do? What's their nature? What are their functions? These are the kind of things we're going to want to talk about here at the outset. The fundamentals. And, you'll see it there in Module 1. We talk about, right, what is a constitutional democracy? What is authoritarianism, which is the alternative? And then we'll talk about American political culture, the foundations of our government, and good stuff like that. Right? So that's where we start out. And then we transition to talking about, in Chapter 2, Module 2, the modules generally match up with our chapters in our text. Second module will be on the founding of the American Republic and the U.S. Constitution, right? Super foundational material, quite literally foundational. It's the foundation of our republic. Right? The American Revolution, the drafting of the Constitution, the ratification of that document, and what's in it. And we'll also talk about the founding of the great state of Nevada. It's a great story to tell there. From there, we'll switch to talking about American federalism, right? The distribution of power between national, state, and local governments. It's surprisingly interesting. We'll talk about Nevada's state and local politics, including fiscal politics, the politics of how we raise money and how we spend money. And we're just coming right out of a legislative session up in Carson City, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Then we'll talk about civil liberties, right? Bill of Rights type stuff, right to keep and bear arms, right to free exercise of religion, freedom of speech, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, property rights, due process rights, the right to freedom from cruel and unusual punishments, right? Really, really good stuff there. We'll talk about civil rights. You know, our text is, right, called American Government in black and white. Right, so kind of a civil rights focus of our text. So we'll talk about that quite a bit from a couple different angles. We'll talk about the politics of the U.S. Congress, such as it is these days. We'll talk about the politics of the Nevada legislature. And again, that'll be useful because Nevada's just coming out of their biennial legislative session up in Carson City. Then we'll talk about the politics of the American presidency. All right, and maybe extra interesting because we're slowly leading up to a presidential election in 2024. We'll talk about the politics of Nevada's executive branch. Turns out it's a plural executive with a governor, a lieutenant governor, a secretary of state, a secretary of the treasury, or state treasurer. We'll talk about the comptroller's office, oddly enough, the attorney general. I think that's 6, should be. We'll talk about the politics of the federal bureaucracy. The bureaucracy at the federal level is super important to our politics. We'll talk about the politics of the federal judicial branch, the U.S. Supreme Court, the lower courts of appeals, the federal trial courts. We'll talk about Nevada's court system. We'll talk about the politics of public opinion. Right, important in a democracy. What is public opinion? How does that shape our politics? We'll talk about the politics of the media. Always a hot topic, especially with Fox News, right? Settling that case with Dominion voting machines or systems for about $800 million. That was kind of a big deal. We'll talk about the politics of interest groups, the politics of our political parties, and finally, the politics of voting and elections. All right, so those are going to be the topics that we cover in here. Should give you a pretty good flavor of what we're doing, what's to come. And, you know, throughout that, right, I'll be scheduling exams, current events quizzes, discussion threads, and those 3 short writing assignments. So that is the syllabus in a nutshell. Thanks all, and I'll catch you in a little bit.